Whenever it comes to trading, you want as many stars in your favor or check marks in your favor as possible. So you want to select trades where you have your technical setup, where fundamentals are on your side and sentiment is on your side. If any of those are violated, then maybe you want to reconsider your trades. You just don't want to take it blindly. You want to be able to look at the bigger picture and make sure that you have as many supportive reasons for getting a trade as possible.
Hey everyone, today I'm sitting down with Kathy Lien. Kathy is someone that I really want to have on the podcast for a long, long time. We finally made it up and we finally make it happen. So Kathy, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Very good, very good. And you are in the US, right?
Yes, I'm based out of New York, and
Perfect.
I've been born and raised here. Pretty much didn't live anywhere else.
Interesting. So the first time I came across your name was through a book that I read like many years ago when I was kind of just starting out in Forex a little bit. And this was about the little book of currency trading. I know you've probably evolved a lot since then, but tell people a bit about who you are right now and what you do these days.
Well, actually, the Little Book of Currency Trading was the last book I wrote. So that actually wasn't too long ago, I think. In many ways, my trading has pretty much remained the same. The philosophy behind what I have done from day one still sticks with me, Etienne, I think it's 20 years later, because I started my trading career in 1999. And it's quite simple. Basically, on the most underlying basis, my philosophy is using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. So technicals will help me identify the trade setup, but fundamentals will drive the trade and help me decide whether I want to actually take the trade itself. Because one of the greatest mistakes I think that a lot of traders make or they believe is that they have a system and they have a strategy. It's going to work 100% of the time. And I think you and I both know, being seasoned market participants, that that's just not true. Nothing can work 100% of the time, right? So, in reality, though, what it really means is that by putting an additional layer into it, which is the broader fundamental themes, and making sure we filter out the false signals and we focus on only the trades that are supported by the macro picture, the bigger picture. That's when I find that I have the highest accuracy in terms of my trades. That was what I learned from day one, sitting at the prop trading desk or the market making desk at JP Morgan, and it's still on its most basic level what drives my trades today, 20 years later.
Awesome. I'll be curious to go back in time, and could you tell people how did you come into trading in the first place? What was the thing that kind of got you interested in trading first, and kind of how you evolved since then?
Well, trading actually kind of fell in my lap in many ways. When I was at NYU, I actually was a pre-med major, and I'm Chinese, and Chinese parents want you to be doctors or lawyers. And so I was a pre-med major, and I had never worked so hard in my life and did so poorly in organic chemistry. And so thankfully, at NYU, we were required to take classes in a number of different majors. And so one of the classes I took was macroeconomics. And for me, it just clicked. Everything just made complete sense. And I could visualize it all in my head, and I fell in love with it. So I decided to transfer to the Stern School of Business. And when I went to Stern School of Business, they had these internships. And I got an internship with the Market Technicians Association. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but it was one of the very first technical analysis societies in the world. And it had legendary names like Ralph Acampora, John Bollinger, people who basically started the whole technical analysis. And so I had my very first internship there. And with that internship, I learned how to look at charts. I learned how to trade. At the time, we were in the dot-com boom trading, and the only thing available to trade was stocks. Everyone was day trading stocks. So, we didn't really even have charting packages. We were using long pieces of paper where we draw X's and O's for price action. But with that said, I still learned technical analysis. And then I day traded stocks, and I started the oh gosh, I don't even remember what the society was called, but it was the investing society at NYU. I helped to start that. And we were all just learning how to trade and day trading stocks together. So my first job out of college was actually at JP Morgan Chase. And once again, it was probably good fortune because at JP Morgan Chase, they'll have a rotational program. And the first rotation I had was in credit derivatives. And thank God I didn't stay there because, as you all know, the credit derivatives blew up the market. And I understood why because I saw it from the inside out. The second rotation I had was on the FX trading desk. And, I once again fell in love. And, I really enjoyed what I was learning there. They, I guess, enjoyed, what I was doing for them. And they gave me a full-time, position. And that's where I started making markets. And this is right around the launch of the euro. And so I was asked to kind of focus on calculating all the legacy currencies, like the Scandinavian currencies, before the people were converting. But, that basically wet my feet. And that's where I started trading.
A big story there for sure. Are there some things that you thought were more difficult for you to learn and things you had a hard time with in terms of trading in the markets?
At first it was really the speed of everything because with prop trading, market making with a bank, a lot of it, and oftentimes it's a guessing game because a client will call in and they'll say, we want a quote on, 100 million euros. And so you have to, you're given the position once they sell it to you, for example. So you have to give a quote where you think that you can get out of the position for a profit. And so it was very fast moving. It was a lot of intuition, and which is very different from what I do now. But that was definitely a bit of a challenge because, you really had to have a lot of client understanding in order to get it right.
And how did that evolve from kind of the market maker type into going into trading, actually trading by yourself?
Good question. So when JP Morgan merged with Chase was the more dominant player, I guess. They had a bigger desk. So I was moved to the prop trading desk. And that's where I had to trade the firm's money and, and not just make markets and give, quotes to the clients. So I had to trade the firm's money. And that's where I learned how to trade not only FX, but interest rate spreads and futures, and learned how also they influence currency movements. And so that's where I really started to trade on a proprietary basis. And that's where I learned my skill. After that, I left and I joined the research, helped create the research desk of FXCM, and just continued to trade along the side. And, fast forward 20 years, I'm still doing it.
I know plenty of people who have for goal, they want to be able to trade for prop firms, and that's the ultimate goal. They really want to do it. What would you tell them to do, or what do they need to be able to get there, in your opinion?
Well, you need to make money trading a demo first, right? I think that's the most important thing. I think it really just takes time. Honestly, what I would say is that if you feel like you're trading and you trade a demo account and you feel that, it really depends upon what your time frame is. If you are a day trader and you trade every single day, I would say 4 to 5 months of consistent profitability, I think would make you feel pretty confident about have a okay track record to show and to prop trade. If you only trade once a week, 3 to 4 months is not enough, right? And so you've got to look much more longer term. So it's really about the number of samples you have and whether it reinforces the efficacy of your strategy.
Have you found some kind of time frames that you prefer to use, or are you kind of going with whatever works and whatever makes sense at the moment in the market?
No, I have a specific strategy and specific time frames that I look at. It's not just anything. My strategy itself leverages off of the 1 hour charts, but I will use the daily charts for confirmation.
And so why the 1 hour chart? Is there a better edge on that chart, you think? Or is it because it's convenient for you, or maybe some other reasons?
It should never be convenient. It should be something that's self-reinforcing for the strategy. When I trade, most of my positions are held for an hour to 48 hours, sometimes longer. And I trade momentum. Given that I trade momentum, and I only trade momentum during the active market hours, I think that momentum is best encapsulated for the time frame I trade on 1 hour charts. 4 hours, for example, is too long. 15 minutes works too, but it doesn't give me it doesn't filter out the false signals that I think the 1 hour chart does for me.
Awesome. Tell me about BK Forex, the company that you kind of co-founded. How did that happen? Was it something that you wanted to do, or kind of happen through your years of experience?
Well, Boris and I, my colleague Boris and I, have actually had BK Forex for a very long time. Even when we were at FXCM, which I think we started FXCM right around the same time, around 2003. So it's been a very long time that we've had this business. And at the time when I joined FXCM, it was a very, very small company. Probably about 30 people, one office, and it was a very entrepreneurial environment. So while I was starting up the research desk for them, they encouraged external activities. And so that was when, we decided that we want to maybe, create a trading service on the side, because, we weren't just analysts. We were traders first and analysts second. And we had, we were in the markets. We didn't just want to talk about the markets. And we started as a side business. And then with time, life changed. We, joined GFT, and then GFT, left before they got sold off to Forex.com. And, we started to have families and thought about, basically how we wanted our life to be and whether we wanted to be tied to a desk or have the flexibility. And so we decided to go full time with it.
Nice. Tell me about, so your trading style these days, how does it go, and what you mentioned, you actually momentum and the 1 hour chart, but are there other parts that you focus on, and how do you combine kind of these technical factors to fundamentals?
Well, with every single one of my trades, I look for one of three things. The first thing is basically the technical setup. So when the technical setup occurs, I will look to see whether fundamentals are on my side. So I create this kind of heat map for our BK Forex members that says, okay, this week we're bullish dollars, we are bearish euros. So we'll only be looking for trades to sell euros, not to buy euros. And I'll give all the fundamental reasons why. And then the third piece of the puzzle is sentiment, whether on that specific day that we are putting on this trade, is sentiment on our side. And I think sentiment is best described by risk on, risk off the markets. Whether, for example, if we have a risk off environment where stock futures are down a lot, that was probably negative for Eurodollar, which supports our trade. If we are in an environment where stock futures are up a lot and stocks are at a record high, I might want to reconsider my trade, because that may actually be positive for euro and not negative for euro. So that's basically the three components to the trade, to every single trade that I look for.
And do you have any kind of favorite tools that you use for all kind of trades, or is it something that you kind of mix and match for how the market reacts?
No, it's very precise. We have developed our own proprietary indicator called ZIP, and that's the tool that I use to basically provide the trading signals.
Awesome. I'm sure people would like to know, what is a day in your life? Like, what do you do as a trader? What is your routine? Could you share a bit about what you do daily and kind of what things are important in your life?
So basically, I trade, my heavy trading time is twice a day. Basically, my day starts with pre-New York open trades at 6:30 a.m. New York time. So at 6:30 a.m. New York time, I'm looking for trades that basically ride the overnight momentum. And so I'll be trading from 6:30 a.m. New York time to about 9:30 a.m. New York time. I generally will almost always close most of my positions right around the New York Open, because there's usually a burst of activity that can probably take me into profit, and at which point there's probably not much more, because I'm sure everyone has seen at the New York Open you have a rush to push in the same direction and then it reverses. So we don't want to be caught in that. Sometimes on rare occasions I will float some of the positions if nothing happens into the London close, but usually not much more than that for my day trades. And then the rest of the day from the London close all the way to about 5 o'clock, I am doing other things. I'm reading the markets, I'm writing my articles, I'm analyzing my strategies, just other things that I have to do that are not related to trading. And then between 5 to 8, I'm picking up my kids from school and, I'm helping them get ready for the evening. And I trade again at between 8 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. New York time. And those are my trades that I carry overnight and maybe into the New York session. I look for trades at that time that are going to be what I think is going to be attractive all the way up for the next 12 hours. So, I put those trades out to our BK Forex members and I give the reasons why. And then we kind of watch those trades overnight.
It seems to me that your trading is not like impacting your life so much. Like you put your trading into your life instead of having it impact your life and dictate what you do. Maybe I'm wrong about this. What do you think?
I think my husband would beg to differ.
Okay.
I think he would think that trading has very much taken over my life. But we have a schedule, and I think that we've all adjusted to the schedule. And with mobility these days, you're able to watch your quotes pretty much wherever you are. And quite honestly, when I don't watch my trades, they actually end up doing much better than when I sit there in front of my computer, watch my trades. So what I mean specifically is that, if I put my trades on at 8:30 p.m. New York time for the Asia session, close my computer screen, get on with my life, enjoy a glass of wine, they actually end up doing better than when I'm sitting there with the computer next to me, looking at it every 5 seconds.
Yeah, this is true for a lot of people that I've seen for sure, and including myself, of course, a lot. So what do we tell people who want to have they want to find a trading style or some kind of time frame and strategy that works with their busy life? Let's say they work a full-time job. How would you tell them to kind of combine trading with all the busy things and all the busy schedule on the side?
Well, I think you have two options. One is you pick the time you can trade, right? So for example, if you live in Asia and you work all day and the only time you have to trade is when you come home, that's fine. I mean, lucky you, because that's the most active market hours. What you can do is you can just trade from 6:30 to 9:30, where you have the overlap between Europe and Asia. I mean, that's perfect. Alternatively, you could be an early riser and trade with me. It's not that early, but 8:30 New York time, and let the position ride itself throughout the course of the day. Or if you really don't have time to be, and you can't isolate those pockets of time, then look for strategies that are based upon daily charts. And I have a turn trader strategy that uses Bollinger Bands that basically only triggers off of daily charts as well. So it's really about, finding, it is exactly what you said, really about finding the type of trading style that fits your own lifestyle, because that is when you'll trade best.
What are your thoughts on cryptos? I know you've been reading to Forex before, and that's mainly what I read from you before, but are you getting into cryptos as well now? It's something that you think is interesting, or maybe for long-term only?
Well, first of all, if there's any imposters that ask you under the name of Kathy Lien to send them money to trade crypto, it is absolutely not me or anything related to crypto at this stage, because I do not trade crypto. That is not to say that I won't be trading crypto in the future, but I don't really see it as something that that even if I did it, it would be trade ideas. I would never ask anyone to give me money to trade crypto. But I think crypto is here to stay. In our new research portal, 60secondinvestor.com, we write about crypto all the time, and we talk about different crypto instrument spreads that you could put on to limit the risk. And so I think, it's an asset class that's here to stay. And I think that it's certainly very exciting. And I think that's just about being smart in regards to trading it.
Yeah, and this definitely holds true for a lot of people online, that you might listen to videos or you watch the videos, listen to the podcast. They're not going to comment below and pretend to be you and ask for cryptos or ask for WhatsApp numbers or whatever. It's totally true.
Yes, I am not on WhatsApp or WeChat whatsoever.
A lot of them, definitely. So interesting. So do you think that people who get into cryptos now to begin with are doing a good thing, or should they better learn with Forex first and then jump into cryptos after?
Well, Forex is a more orderly, established market, and the volatility is lower. And you have more regulators with their eyes on it. Crypto is newer, and there are wilder swings, and there's a lot more risk, particularly with some of the wallets. I think it's really up to you. I like Forex more because I think it's less stressful. Crypto has these enormous gains, and enormous moves, which are very, very attractive. But with it also comes wild swings of volatility and danger as well.
How will you respond to people who say that recently, especially the Forex market is like almost dead, so volatility not moving much on a daily basis? How do you adapt to that? How do you change your trading style for these kinds of markets in Forex in general?
Well, even though volatility has declined, I don't feel like it's really affected our performance because my goal is very clear. Our goal for our members is make them 100 pips a week not every single, 100 pips a week, 300 to 400 pips a month. And so, when you have that target in mind, it builds up. And even with the decline in leverages in some other countries, it still builds up. I think that what's happening now is that Forex is looked at as more of an asset class and a bit more orderly, whereas your meme stocks and your cryptos is where the danger plays are.
Definitely one thing we talk about, but is there anything that we didn't touch on you would like to mention or talk about?
Well, I think, trading is the evolution game. And I think, at the end of the day, it's about having a good strategy, having good mentors, and really trying to get a grasp of understanding it. Because while technicals are interesting and they're certainly valid, I think that, what you've come to realize is that you can't just rely on technicals alone. And hopefully a lot of people, it takes them a long time to realize that. And hopefully, if they read some of what I do, read my research, and follow what I do, it'll help them along the way.
What would you tell people who think that fundamentals are kind of unclear? You can see them both ways. Do you think that's a valid reason not to use them, or do you feel like anyone, no matter how, could be able to use fundamentals to kind of improve their trading, if not just make it better?
Anyone can use fundamentals to improve their trading and make it better, but that does not mean that's not hard, because it can be looked at as both ways. You're absolutely right, which is why when you have someone who's in the markets for a long time like me, I create a very clear heat map that's color-coded, green or red, fundamentally for the week. So it makes the analysis a lot simpler. And so my fundamental heat map definitely helps to demystify the fundamental analysis.
What would you tell someone who wants to get started into fundamental analysis? They want to start to learn how things work. Should they go and take a class on that, or should they go to... Maybe the answer is finding mentors who do that already. But what would you tell them to focus on first?
I think, at the end of the day, there's nothing more valuable than understanding how things are happening right now. So I would follow some of the more popular Twitter feeds like in Forex, like Forex Live. I would read, either the Financial Times, the Wall Street Journal, because those are the big stories that they're talking about in terms of fundamentals. And then read the Forex section to see what they're saying is impacting it. You can also read me, where I publish my pieces on BKForex.com and 60secondinvestor.com, where you can read about where I think currencies are moving on a fundamental basis.
Awesome. And with that being said, what can people find you now, connect with you, or reach out after this interview?
So if you're looking for just market analysis, 60secondinvestor.com is our research portal. And if you're looking for trade ideas, courses, our proprietary indicators, that's BKForex.com.
Awesome. And of course, you're on most of our social media as well. They can connect with you there, I'm sure.
Yes.
And that's something that they should do.
My Twitter is Kathy Lien and I've. I mean, pretty much if you just follow that, it'll be the outlet for everything, because I'll point you different ways. And we also have a YouTube channel, which is BK Forex.
Awesome. Kathy, I want to respect your time, but I have this question I ask all my guests at the end of the interview, which is, if you give people one piece of advice on how they can become better traders, what would that one piece of advice be?
I think the most important advice I can have is that whenever it comes to trading, you want as many stars in your favor, or check marks in your favor as possible. So you want to select trades where you have your technical setup, where fundamentals are on your side and sentiment is on your side. If any of those are violated, then maybe you want to reconsider your trades. You just don't want to take it blindly. You want to be able to look at the bigger picture and make sure that you have as many supportive reasons for getting this trade as possible.
Awesome. That's a good advice. If you guys want to reach out to Kathy, I recommend you do so. Like you said before, you can reach out to her on social media and on her website as well. We'll leave a link below the podcast and the YouTube video as well. You can check this out right now and reach out to her if you like the interview. Give it a like. And Kathy, thank you for your time. I appreciate it a lot. And we'll catch you guys back here pretty soon.
My pleasure.